in to the hottest station on the planet.
Resistance is futile. The revolution has begun.
You're listening to Rebelpreneur Radio, helping you break the rules and build the business you need for the life you want. And now, broadcasting his pirate signal
from somewhere beyond the status quo,
here's your host, best-selling author, marketing and media strategist, Ralph Brogden.
Hello and welcome to Rebelpreneur Radio, the show that helps you build the business you need so you can live the life you want. I am Ralph Brogden. And part of building your business, I believe, is you've got to have a very powerful brand. You know, a lot of business owners and solopreneurs and even rebelpreneurs, especially in the mind, body, and spirit realm, struggle with online overwhelm. They can't quite keep up with everything going on, and they don't quite know where to begin. And today's guest is going to help us to organize ourselves with a brand and with an online marketing strategy. I'm speaking with Liz Gracia, who has been a serial entrepreneur-ess as far back as elementary school. She founded NewMouseMedia.com and the MindBodySpiritNetwork.com, digital marketing companies focused on providing the foundational basics for your online success, something she's been diligently and successfully working on for the last 10 years. Liz, welcome to Rebelpreneur Radio.
Thank you so much, Ralph. This is fun to be here with you, and I love the name of your radio show.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah.
Yes.
So we must be kindred spirits and rebelpreneurs breaking the rules so that we can build the business we need, have the life that we want, make a difference while making money, all of that great stuff. It appeals to me. I'm glad it resonates with you as well. You've been working in this space for a long time. Tell us a little bit about how you got started with the Mind Body Spirit Network. Who was that for, and what's that all about?
So, actually, Ralph, I meant to update that little intro for you, but the Mind Body Spirit Network is an online business directory and kind of content marketing platform for professionals in the mind, body, spirit, health realm.
Sure. And
my working with small, service-based businesses and solopreneurs like them inspired me to launch the AthenaArena.com, which is really what we wanted to talk about today.
I love that name.
And I forgot to update you on that.
That's all right. I love that name, the AthenaArena.com.
I know.
I really love that.
That just totally came to me one day. And I'm like, it's really, people that are the Athenas, meaning the wisdom bearers of their own expertise. And they're in their own arena. So it's like, if you're an Athena, you're a goddess or god of wisdom and courage and creativity and community, and you've come to this world to be in your own arena in some way. So that's how that name came about.
I love that. And the really intriguing thing that you're going to share with us today is how to supercharge your business with a Wonder Woman brand. That sounds really exciting. Yes. Tell us about that.
It is exciting. All right. So when you get into the personal branding or branding type of process, there's a point in the process where you kind of want to define your brand edge. And this is kind of where I define my brand edge. And what makes me really kind of a pioneer in this realm is that not only am I a marketer, but I'm a student of consciousness and understanding where true power really exists in consciousness. So when I say supercharge your business, I mean understanding where true power is and how to align with that and make sure your intentions for defining your brand is aligned with what I call higher energy attractor fields, so that creating, marketing yourself and your brand almost like does all the heavy lifting for you because you understand where true power exists in context. And most of us don't know that. So I became really fascinated with consciousness through my own life experience and caring about knowing the truth and not thinking that I know it all at all. Getting the ego out of the way, taking responsibility for my own life, and understanding where true power and integrity exist. And thinking that I know it all is not that.
Yeah, the one who thinks he knows it all doesn't know anything yet, as the saying goes. Now this supercharge your business with a Wonder Woman brand. Does this work for men as well as for women?
Absolutely, it does. And really, the Wonder Woman thing applies to men and women when you understand, like, how much power. I went to see the most recent Wonder Woman movie a few years ago. And because of my understanding of consciousness, I was fascinated by the levels of consciousness that were being displayed in that movie. I'm like, oh my God, how do these filmmakers know? They have an intuitive knowingness, I can tell, But you realize how powerful Wonder Woman is from a higher level of consciousness. And men and women, all of us, when you understand that, you want to align with that true power. She's got a very high level of consciousness, and she kind of demonstrates it in physicality, but there's something else going on behind her power. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm talking about.
And that's why they call her Wonder Woman. You can't quite figure her out. Just when you think you've got her backed into a corner, man, she comes out with some kind of mystical, wonderful power. She can jump. She's got the truth lasso.
Right.
There's all kinds of tools that she has in the toolbox, but it's more about who she is. She really steps into that role of being the Wonder Woman that she is. And so you're saying that needs to be part of our marketing, our branding, part of our business.
Yes. And I didn't know she had a truth lasso. That's awesome to know there, Ralph, because that's essentially what I'm saying is when you align with truth, which is what she does, now you're aligning with, these attractor fields that do a lot of powerful work for you and your brand without you having to do much, because you've done the work, the inner work and the alignment work, and then the rest kind of takes care of itself.
Yeah, I love that. Now, you have worked in this space for more than 10 years, and a lot of your clients and the people that you work with are in the coaching. They're in the I don't know, what do you call it? The higher consciousness field.
Holistic health practitioners and transformation types of individuals, or, authors and visionaries and agents of change. Those types of people typically don't know how to market themselves. At least that's been my experience.
Yeah. Well, and it's been my experience as well. And that leads me into the next question is why is that such a hard thing for people? And what is the greatest problem you see with the people that you're trying to help? They've got a vision, and most of them are very gifted, and they want to do good in the world. They want to make a difference in the world, and they'd like to make a living while they are making a difference. What's holding us back? What's preventing them from achieving and stepping into this Wonder Woman mystique?
Men too, by the way.
Yeah.
I can see you, Ralph, as a Wonder Woman too.
Oh, thanks.
Yes. So, I over the years, I've kind of, boiled down the essence, what I call the foundational basics to your online success, but it applies to any success in business. And I created, this year I created my top 10 online marketing checklist. But what I want to mention is just the top 2, because I feel the top 2 is where the most common problems are for small business people that come to me. And the first one is, if you want to have a even just as simple as a website, you just want a website. People don't understand that they need to know where their market is online. So let's just talk in the online market. And what I do, and I've always done with everyone, is I do what's called keyword marketing research online, because I need to see Google has all the information you'd ever want to know for what people are searching for.
Yeah.
So most people have none of this market awareness. They don't know if they have a market. They don't know where they should focus their problem solving. What problems are they going to solve? And just a simple example is, let's say I have like an alternative health practitioner that wants to specialize in a couple of different things. Maybe it's a back problem. Maybe it's a gut problem, just an example. And when I do keyword marketing research, I can say, oh my God, the audience is huge for lower back problems, as an example, so that they can say, hey, there's a much greater market here, especially if you're just starting out, to focus on a particular problem instead of trying to solve all the problems. And then I typically will see there will be a part of what they're looking to do that has very little interest. So I'm like, well, don't even do that yet because there's no market there. So that the first one is understanding your market. Is there enough people looking for it, and is it financially viable? And that's what my keyword marketing research will tell me. This is just a super simple marketing analysis that doesn't cost a lot of money. Like you could totally spend a lot of money doing market analysis, but I don't think it's necessary for small businesses because there's enough information there.
Yeah. Well, Liz, I think that you have really hit upon something that's very important, especially when we're talking about people in the mind, body, spirit, holistic consciousness space. A lot of them have the idea, because what you're talking about is very, very practical. This is down to earth, nuts and bolts. Here's what it's going to take. And a lot of people I talk to in this space, they just have the idea that they're going to put themselves out to the universe, and then the universe is going to bring them all of this stuff, and they get real woo-woo, right?
Yes.
And what you're saying is that's probably what's holding you back, is you're getting all woo-woo about your marketing and wondering why you don't have clients coming to you. There's some very practical steps you need to do that you can't just put it out into the universe and wait for it to come back to you. You actually have to do a little bit of footwork, don't you?
Yes. And really thoughtful contemplation about what audience you want to serve, and realize a lot of people you keep calling it woo woo, but that's okay. Some people, they'd call it woo woo too, but you've got to articulate the problems you solve. The aspect of you that wants to put things out to the universe and align with consciousness is a different process. That's a branding thing. That's where you can really connect with your heart and decide what you want to do and all of that. But
there's another step.
Marketing that's the next step.
You got to go beyond just that. That's not enough, and that's fine, and that's probably very useful and very helpful. Yeah. At least it gives you some direction. But there's some real world things that you need to do once you get that direction.
Yeah. And maybe this is a good time to share. I have an incredible story. Well, it's not incredible. It's a very clear story of why this is important. I have one client who develops aromatherapy, natural remedies with aromatherapy. And she's gonna bottle this stuff. She's gonna label it, package it. Spend a lot of money on graphic design and labeling and production. And she came to me before she started to do that, and she was going to create all these different remedies. I'm like, you know what? When I got her keyword research report back, she's like, oh my God, thank God, Liz, because she would have lost her shirt and lost a lot of money because she was focused on problems that have very little interest. So we turned her around and found lots of niche, opportunities to create product for which there's a lot of request to solve. So
yeah, that makes sense.
That's just one example of, not spent, she could have lost a lot of money without knowing her market.
Very important. And I think the other roadblock that coaches have is very often they don't even take the time to specialize or to niche down. And maybe it's because they think, well, I'm here to help everybody. And the challenge with that is if you try to help everybody, you end up helping nobody, because no one can find you and no one can make a connection to the specialty the special skill, the Wonder Woman trait that you have that is going to solve the problem that they're looking for. And everybody is different. So you're not excluding people by saying I'm working with this group, but it allows you to be focused because it's impossible to actually reach everybody with your marketing, isn't it?
Yes. And that was going to be, that was going to come later in some of my discussion route, but we'll get back to that. But yes, I have, when I first started doing web work, and, first 3 years, people come to me and they literally, pardon the language, throw up all over me. Like, what do you do? Okay, first they say, I am a life coach and I'm a Reiki practitioner and I have this and that certification, this, that, and the other thing. And I'm like, okay. So I start to break out into a sweat because, unconsciously, I'm realizing they want me to build a brand for them. They want me to speak for them and to articulate it. I didn't know that at the time, though, Ralph. I didn't really pay attention to branding, but I knew that's what I was kind of doing. And I'm like, oh my God, this is a lot of work. and I said, if you think you're going to throw up on somebody and you're going to ask them to figure you out, it ain't going to happen. That's exactly right. That is so true. And a good thing to know, and you probably ought to know this, Ralph, you get 3 seconds when someone lands on your website. 3 seconds. If they're not in, they're out. Right. And if you're trying to, put together a very complicated jigsaw puzzle, you're going to lose them. Yeah, like, a 5-page dissertation on your biography and all of your certifications and all the schools you've been to. That's too much for people to sort through. Really, and different people have said this, and I've kind of adapted it as universal wisdom, that people don't really care about you. They only care about two things. They care about a problem they have and don't want, or a result they want and don't have. That's all they care about. And to the extent that you can solve their problem or deliver the result, they're interested. But they're not interested in all the places you've been, at least not yet. All the places you've been, all the things you've done, all the things you know. They want to know the basics. What's in it for me? What problem do you solve, and what solution do you provide? And that has to be explained to them in terms of what's in it for them, not what I do. Exactly. And I've been doing that before I got into the branding business for a long time. I'm just like, all right, what problem are you going to solve? It's all about me, not you. Yeah. I don't care about you. I want to know about me. What are you going to do for me? So if we would just internalize just that one very important principle, a lot of the way we go about marketing and branding ourselves online would really change, wouldn't it? Yes. Big time. and that comes up with the second biggest problem. We've already been talking about it, that I see, and that is small business owners don't even have an awareness of what branding is. It's kind of, they think, many people think it's your logo. I'm like, oh my God, the logo is like nothing compared to branding yourself and really getting clear on the whole process. And there's a misunderstanding about, there's nothing really, like, you don't come away with like something tangible that you can hold when you go through a branding process. And I think that's probably another problem, that's why people don't get it. That makes a lot of sense, because a lot of people, they're still in that old school mentality that the first thing I have to do to prove that I am in business is print up some business cards and some stationery. Yes. Well, to do that, I've got to have a logo, and then I've got to come up with a company name. And you spend 6 months going through the motions of these things, and you haven't sold anything. You don't have any customers. You don't have any clients. And you think you've got to do all of these things to get them. And clients don't care about the logo. They care about the problems you solve and the results you create. So tell us then. And also, Ralph, just to quote you, mastering that message you've got to do. You've got to master your message. Yeah. Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's what I preach. It's mastering and mastering your message. It's not about what I do.
It's not about who I am. It's all about, and it's not even about the process. You ask people, well, what do you do? And say, well, here's my process, and they lay it out, and it's the same process of it as everyone else. First we do a free consultation and we figure out what your needs are, and then we go through this. That's your process. That's not the problem and the result. That's just how you go about it. So there's so much. I feel like there's so much that we need to unlearn before we can really overcome these challenges. But let me ask you this, because you said that most businesses don't really have an awareness of what branding is. They think it's a logo, or they think it's their website design. What is a brand? How should we think about branding in terms of a business?
So what I like to share this little thing that came to me. I see branding as an exercise in higher consciousness. So you have to get really conscious with thinking through the process of your ideal client, thinking through the processes, how do I want to stand, who do I want to be in the context of a business? What do I stand for? And really articulating what value-driven results you provide your ideal client, like really identifying all of these before you even getting into the details of the messaging and how you communicate. So I think one of the big blocks probably that people will have in the branding thing is that they're not marketers. They don't know how to come up with messages. Mm-hmm. They don't want to write. They don't want to write anything down. They don't want to think. I think is like the basic problem that people have fear of communication. Yeah. Or putting a stake in the ground on something and being, to have confidence about what you're doing and communicating that clearly. So that's why it's kind of, you don't get like something tangible out of it, because it's something you have to continually kind of align with, remind yourself of. And there's a great kind of metaphor for branding, and I see that, or simile. I'm not sure which word is correct on this, Ralph. You can correct me, but I read some. I see branding is anyone who does branding is likely a goal setter, and the reason I say that is because there's some very interesting stats about goal setting. I don't know if you've ever seen it before, Ralph, but only about 16% of the people in business set goals, or life in general. 16% of the world, that's it. And of that, 4% actually write goals down. So they're writing them down and they're reviewing them consistently, like on a regular basis. They're reviewing their goals. And the people, this 4%, tend to earn 9x over their lifetimes than others that don't set goals. And I'm like, okay, this is a conscious effort. This is someone who's disciplined and focused and cares about manifesting what they want, setting goals and meeting them. Yeah. So that's why I say it's an exercise in higher consciousness. Most people don't have the discipline or the interest or the awareness that that's what it takes to be successful in business and to have a really Wonder Woman brand, so to speak.
Well, you make it sound like it's kind of easy. I mean, if you separate all the complexity and all the overwhelm and what everybody else is saying and just focus on these basic principles, it sounds really easy. What can we begin to do to start to see some improvement? How do we overcome this tendency to just kind of be washed out in our branding? What is the first few steps we can take to begin to develop this Wonder Woman brand?
Okay. So you already touched on this, Ralph, and that is stop trying to be all things to all people.
That's it. Yeah.
Right there, you're an energetic, scattered mess. Mm-hmm. Right? And if people meet you, they can sense it because they're not energetically, you're putting off this vibe that says, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to be whatever you want me to be, and you got to figure it out. But what the potential customer is seeing energetically is like, oh my God, I'm nervous. I got to get out of here. I can't figure it out, right? It's not easy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that would be the first step. And the second step would be to take a look at what you do really well. And if there's one particular problem you're solving really well, really define and focus on that so that you can create a process where you know that from beginning to end, this process I bring people through is going to take this amount of time. These are the results they can expect. And this is the results they do get. So you have this super defined, call it like a package, a core offering that you focus on.
I really love that. And that's what I'm trying to implement in my business with Master Your Message. There's so much. Good. Yeah, there's so much that we could focus on and that I could focus on. And that's the problem is we get too broad and too wide, when really what we need is to specialize, focus, stick to defining and fulfilling and solving one big problem. And then, I've had clients say, but I can do so many things well and I can solve so many problems. Pick one, focus on that, make it work, scale it, become the world's expert on that particular problem. And then you can focus on doing that for the next problem. But you can't solve all the problems all at once for everybody.
Right. Yeah, let the market, let your customers that already love you tell you what your next step is going to be. Like, what do you want next? I love that. Yeah. And then they're already your customers, so it's like a shoe-in. It's like, oh, this is easy. You don't have to go to a market to somebody else. Yeah. It's a lot easier to develop customized solutions for people who have already become your customer than it is to try and figure out what people you've never met want and what it will take for them to become your customer. It's just easier you've already made the relationship, established the connection. They already know, like, and trust you. And, how much potential are we leaving on the table because we're not maximizing the relationships that we already have? Yeah. And I have a great little stat I want to share in digital marketing land. Once, and I knew this as a retailer. I had a home furnishings retail business in Boston. And the stat is a client that has spent even as little as $1 with you is 20 times more likely to buy from you than someone who doesn't know you. And it's like, oh my God, why waste your time trying to talk to other people when your own customers, they're much easier. Yeah. much easier to sell. That's a great statistic to reinforce what we're talking about. So I love that. Stop being all things to all people. Number 2, stick to defining and focusing one problem. Get really expert at that before you branch out. Those are great steps. Anything else? I have one little step so once you've defined what like your core offering is, what I do is I like to break that thing up because typically you want that to be more of a higher end offering, I would think, because you've got to leverage your time and expertise. So what I do as part of when I plan for that core offering, I have a small piece of that stands alone so that someone cannot have to, buy into some big thing that they're not ready for because they don't know you. But a simple buy-in, or opportunity to work with you where 98% of the time, the value of that initial consultation or whatever service that you're providing is so valuable, they're going to want to continue with you. So that's just a good way to kind of soften the blow, so to speak, if you're trying to sell something. Yeah. To get people in on something that stands alone, it doesn't need the rest of the package, and provides tremendous value regardless. Yeah, and I think that is so valuable, what you just said. We tend to overcomplicate our offerings. We think we've got to have 15 products on the sales page, and we can't sell anything on the page.
if we would just develop one product and really focus on that one thing, simplify. It's easy to get complicated, but simplification is where the beauty is. That's where it's more effective, and it's just I guess it's human nature just to make things more complicated than it needs to be.
Why can't we all just take a cheat sheet from what's the Apple guy's name? The founder of Steve Jobs.
Yes.
Simplicity of design. Although, I'm like, I am a big problem maker when it comes to making things complicated. But I've learned I got to simplify this, or I'm going to be sitting here lonely. Yeah.
And that's why we tend to get overwhelmed in our business. Liz, what are you working on right now that's got you really excited that you'd like to share with our listeners?
So I've been working one-on-one with clients for quite a while now, and I used to have this online meetup for 2 years, and I'm giving it a break because it was every week, and I'd give presentations and marketing and training every week. But one of those meetup presentations is about branding, and I wanted to invite the group in. We have like a dozen or people online, and we did a little kind of branding exercise all together as a group. And when we did this, it was so fun to have everyone chiming in on what we were working on as somebody's brand edge. Everyone got an opportunity to talk about their brand edge. And it was fun to see that a lot of people didn't get it, but then they eventually got it. And then when they got it, they shared what their edge was, but other people in the audience saw what the person's edge really was, and it helped bring it to light. So what I'm excited about is that the Athena Arena, I've created what's called the Brand Builder Bootcamp, which is an online small group. I'm going to max it out at like 12 Athenas in their own arena, where we're working together. And it's just fun to see people that are really intentional about helping each other succeed, that there's this consciousness that comes in of great inspired ideas and marketing messages and seeing each other. It's really, that's kind of lights me up, is to do boot camps for this particular, to build your brand, to make it more interactive and fun and on point.
I think that would be very, very useful and probably very interesting to our listeners. How can they find out more about you and about the Athena Arena?
Oh, okay. My website is theathenaarena.com. And I put together a great little mini training for your audience, Ralph, and it's called the my top 10 online marketing checklist. And if you go to the athenaarena.com/rebel, REBEL, you can opt in there for the top 10 checklist. And then I do like a 2 to 3 minute mini video of each of the items on that checklist so that you understand what your foundational basics are. So you're not like people flounder and they get online overwhelmed and they just stop doing anything because they don't know. They can't keep up and they don't know where to begin.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, step by step, put the bricks in place, build a foundation, and stop building a house on the ocean, at high tide.
Well, that makes it, that really brings it home, drives home the point that you're making. It doesn't have to be as complicated as we make it, but we need to have a foundation. And so I encourage our listeners, go to theathenaarena.com/rebel to access these tips and this wisdom from Liz Gracia. Liz, this has really been wonderful. I really appreciate the conversation. Any final thoughts or a big idea or a word of wisdom that you'd like to leave us with?
Yes. So, I'm a bit of a mystic, and I didn't really share that other side of me, but at the Athena Arena, you'll find out more about aligning yourself with understanding consciousness. But it's really, when I heard about branding, I'm like, this is an exercise in higher consciousness. It's really what it is. And it's a vibrational thing that you're getting in alignment with. And when you get conscious and deliberate and concise about who you are, what you stand for, and what what value-driven results you have for your ideal clients, the brand that you create becomes the heavy lifter in your marketing efforts. So, but you got to go through the process and you got to be with it and, remind yourself every day, what's the message? Who am I? What am I standing for? And then vibrationally, you're going to become like a sequoia tree instead of a willow in a windstorm.
Oh, I love that. A willow in a windstorm. What a great way. What a great metaphor to describe
Yes.
The struggles that a lot of business owners and solopreneurs have with online overwhelm. I've been speaking with Liz Gracia. She helps people to organize their business and their brand with an online marketing strategy. She's been a serial entrepreneur-ess for most of her life. So you can check her out at theathenaarena.com/rebel if you want to download that free checklist. And I'm going to head over there and do that myself. Liz, it has been a real pleasure to have you on Rebelpreneur Radio. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us. I really appreciate it.
Ralph, you are a pleasure, and I thank you so much for having me today.
You've been listening to Rebelpreneur Radio with Ralph Brogden. Download the show notes and much more at rebelpreneur.com.